If you think retail is just t-shirts and water bottles on a shelf, think again. In 2024, consumers spent over $350 billion globally on athleisure. And that's not slowing down. Most clubs could possibly be generating 8 to 15% of total revenue from this secondary spend. Yet many are sitting on dusty stock, triple XL shirts from 4 years ago, and no real retail strategy. When members wear your brand, they're just not putting on your clothing, they're signaling a belonging. They're joining a tribe. And that feeling, that emotion, is one of the most powerful drivers of retention we have. Today, Meredith Rosson is here to show you how retail can be woven into your culture and positively impact your bottom line.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast with your host, Justin Tamzett. With over 30 years in the fitness industry, JT is a globally recognized authority with a mission to lower healthcare costs worldwide by getting more people moving and moving more often in quality facilities with qualified professionals. Every episode, JT digs deep with our guests to bring you insights that will help you lead, innovate, and boost your bottom line. So let's dive in. Take it away, JT.
Welcome to Season 5 of your favourite podcast, and I'm JT. Maybe not your favourite host, but at least I'm the guy asking the questions in each episode to our incredible experts. And today, you're in for a real treat. Meredith comes with 18 years of leadership and business development experience in the fitness industry. She oversaw retail offerings at the Cooper Fitness Center in Dallas and then consulted with facilities all around the US through the Cooper Wellness Strategies. In 2024, she founded Elevated Versions Enterprise, also known as EVE, which is a retail consulting group specifically for fitness facilities. And she now partners with multipurpose clubs, boutique studios, parks and rec departments, sporting teams, country clubs, all in order to build retail strategies that truly align with each facility's vision. You're going to love our chat today, and stick around to the very end because Meredith has a ripper and exclusive offer from her online boutique, paperdolls.eve.com. Wait for it. It's at the end of the main interview. Now, our next episode drops in 2 weeks, or it might already be on your feed, and it's a chat with Christine Howe from Fit Pro Finders. She's going to be answering all the burning questions that you have on recruitment. And our next free online event, well, it's going to be a masterclass on becoming the go-to expert so your community come to you for advice rather than TikTok. Register now at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/online events. That link is in our show notes as well.
What if one small decision each month could make you a better leader, a smarter operator, and a more future-ready fitness professional? For less than $5 a month, you can join our Fitness Business Podcast Insiders community and unlock early access to episodes, ad-free listening, exclusive tools from our guests, monthly workshops, and a network of people on the same path as you. If you're committed to growing your business and yourself, this is your next step. Become an FBP Insider today at patreon.com/fitnessbusinesspodcast.
I'm super excited to have you on the podcast, Meredith, and the topic of generating secondary income from merchandise, swag, retail, or whatever other name we want to come up with. It's an absolute ripper topic.
JT, thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to talk all things retails with you. And I'm actually really excited that you as a male enjoy retail and wanted to have this as a topic on your show.
And Meredith, you're incredibly humble because there's no one else doing this in the industry. You are the one and the only. That's really why we got you on, because no one else talks about this topic. But retail is a really broad comment. A really broad sort of description of what we sell in clubs. I've been in clubs and on one shelf you've got a Celsius, you've got a MyZone belt, and you've got a candle. And I'm like, Really? We're selling candles in gyms? So how do you define retail?
Well, what I was going to say is what I feel like the fitness industry has is a captured regular audience. And so if you can make your club retail offerings really sticky and a convenience factor for your membership base, you become a one-stop shop. It makes it all the more valuable in your membership, perceived value to your customer base. So when I look at retail, there's obviously, to your point, there's a lot of categories that you can look into. And so often there's categories that honestly, I don't even touch, like supplements and refreshments. I have those that I can refer you out to, but that's not my passion. That's not my area of interest or my expertise. So what I tend to focus on is men and women apparel. So when you think of that, there's some subcategories in that. You have logo apparel, you have private label, contemporary, workout performance, which is the obvious one that everyone always thinks that's all I do. And then leisure apparel. And then you also have small fitness accessories and equipment. So what are those pieces of equipment that can take that wellness journey home to the consumer house and be able to support their wellness journey beyond their walls with you within your services? So think yoga mats, percussion guns, resistance bands, weighted vests, sports specific items. I often say if they sweat in it, they're going to want their own. And so what are those pieces that you can find that really are a quick, easy sell because someone doesn't want to use what someone else has already used that was sweaty, no matter how many times you think you've washed it?
That's a great definition, Meredith. Whatever they sweat in, they'll want their own. So you should sell it.
And then I have two more kind of areas that I focus on, and these are dependent upon the clubs, but accessories. So thinking jewelry, handbags, gym bags, water bottles, etc. And then grab and go, what I call grab and go items. These are the items that are forgotten. So think like shaving needs, toothbrushes, underwear, socks, those like immediate needs that would maybe make someone go back home, but you're saving them that trip.
So what I hear a lot about owners, and I do want to come back to what you were selling later in the interview, and particularly the difference between logo gear and maybe Lululemon or Arlo that you retail through the club. So I do want to come back to that. But there's a lot of effort we got to put into retail for a small margin. Is it actually worth it?
Absolutely. Let me just start with kind of the two categories that I said I don't really touch, but I think are often important dependent upon your model for your club. Supplements, so those are typically like a 5 to 30% profit margin, dependent on who you're able to work with. Refreshments, that's typically a 20 to 35% profit margin. Now, the area that I focus on is kind of the larger profit margin opportunity, which is apparel. So apparel, you're looking at a 40 to 50% profit margin. On average, if I'm working on a pro forma for a new client, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and put in 40% just to be safe and so that we can see the successes and build upon that. However, there's so many opportunities to drive that up. And when you're looking at your pricing model, you're going to use so many factors to be able to determine what your pricing model is going to be. But typically, because the consumer base nowadays has so many tools at their hands, at their fingertips to be able to find competitive prices. So it used to be in retail that you could get away with doing a 2.2, maybe a 2.3 markup. But I would say on average now you're looking at a flat 2% keystone marking where you're having 100% markup, 50% margin. But again, that 50%, where else in your club are you having a true 50% margin? And so that's what I try to help people see is there's this opportunity from a margin standpoint. And if we can get the right pieces in your retail offering, I think we can really drive some good margin there for you.
There could be some people that just got a little confused in what you said. What's the difference between margin and profit?
So your profit and your margin are similar. When I said you're going to have a markup, you can have a 2.0 markup. That means basically if your cost was $20, you're going to mark it up $20. So it's 100% there. Your profit then, you paid $20, you're now charging $40. Your profit is that $20 that you made off of it.
Good explanation. Now, do clubs need a specific space for retail? Do they need to sell online? Do they have pop-up retail spaces? Or is it all of the above?
Can I say it's all of the above, but then give my caveats to all of it?
On this podcast, you're allowed to have waivers and caveats whenever you like.
Okay, so dedicated space, this is a huge one to me. I feel like so often when I'm talking to individuals, that can be a barrier. It's something that scares them. They feel like they don't have the space. I've worked with large, again, multi-purpose clubs, but I've also worked with the boutique studio owners who they don't have that space. And they don't have also the team to be able to support a dedicated retail space. And so they're having to marry kind of that welcome space, the check-in space, and the welcome team with their retail. And so that's absolutely doable. And what I always want to tell people, there's creative solutions. And one of the things is your wall. So your wall, when they walk in, you don't have to give up that footprint for retail. We can utilize that, have a really great slat wall and merchandise it and move that inventory, change it up and keep it really enticing and appealing to individuals. The other spaces that I feel like often are forgotten for retail that is something that you should consider is where you're going to keep your backstock. So what's your storage space like? And also with that coupled, and usually I would couple all of this together when I'm about to say these next 2 points. So your backstock, where your retail manager, coordinator, whatever you want to call them, whoever is going to be in charge of your inventory is going to sit and do the management of your inventory, which is super important. And you cannot think it's going to happen at the front desk. There needs to be a separate computer, a separate workstation for them to be able to do that because it is very tedious and it can screw up all of your data if you don't have someone highly focused on that. And then the third thing that you want to, and again, this can be all together, but your receiving area. So your inventory manager, coordinator, whatever you want to say, needs to have a space to be able to take all of the inventory out, label all of the inventory, tag it all, and get it ready for the floor before you put it out. And then the final space that I think from a dedicated space that is often overlooked, or it makes me cringe when I hear a dressing room, is going to be the locker room. And that comes from two areas of concern. One is often the locker room is not immediately close to whoever is going to be your retail point of sale person. And so it eliminates them from being part of the sales process. Think about when you try something on, I see this all the time in clubs. Someone steps out, they're a little on the fence of whether or not they like this shirt. Does it make their shoulders look too big? Are they feeling comfortable and confident? If your sales team can be a part of that cheerleading group and take that little psyche, that little voice in their head that's making them think poorly of themselves, that they can be a part of cheering them on. The other part is obviously it's inventory management and it's the loss process that you want to eliminate. And we all like to think that our members are honest and have a high integrity, but even out of pure, it could be laziness, or it could be just thinking that someone's going to come in and grab the inventory that they left in the locker room, and then it goes walking away. So it's really great. And there's creative solutions that we can have that do not have a big footprint in your welcome space and that we can actually do in tandem with a marketing space for you. So then you're not feeling like you're giving too much away for a dressing room that's maybe not always in use.
Do you increase sales when they can touch and feel the merchandise compared to looking at a picture?
Absolutely. But I think it's important to realize that in your fitness facility, you have something that retailers dream of, which is a regular customer base and foot traffic and eyeballs on inventory. So when you talk about online, I know everybody hears brick and mortar is dying. I would agree in the retail world, but in fitness, you have to think about where are people meeting you for your service? They're coming to you in person and you're selling a convenience factor with your retail space. So moving it online, you're actually eliminating the convenience factor for them. Unless at midnight they're thinking that they really want that shirt they saw, then you're adding another opportunity for them. But having it online, I always say that needs to be secondary. I will do a shameless plug real quick if you'll let me. I am actually starting my own online boutique and I am seeing firsthand how much time and dedication it is. And it is like having another location that you need to manage. You have to manage the additional inventory. Now you need to manage the online portion and the backstock there. And so from a time standpoint, you really need to decide where you feel like you can have the biggest impact. And to me, that is in person because that's where they're having the touch point with you already. That's what they're coming to you for.
I'm going to guess that because you do have these people that are coming on a regular basis that retail dream of, they also, those members kind of just walk through stuff. And as you would remember when you were running Cooper, they become blind to things. So I guess you've got to be continually updating what that look and the feel of that retail space is, because after a week they don't see it.
Absolutely. So what you're speaking to is visual merchandising, and that is key. And that's oftentimes, I didn't expect that to be something that I helped with, but it is oftentimes something that I am helping clients with because they don't have someone on they're hiring an individual that, let's say it's a front desk staff that's also helping on the retail side. They're hiring a really friendly individual that may not have that expertise. So that is something that I come in and I do help with. The other part to what you're speaking to is making sure that you are not buying too deep. So I'll give you an example. I had a client one time who had bought into Lulu, and this is when Lulu did wholesale. You have to buy incredibly deep. So they were sitting on an inventory that they had for 4 years. And at this point, I mean, it was a loss. It was nothing fresh to their members. Maybe if you had new members, it's something new for them to see, but they might already have seen it at Lulu. But you have to remember, if you're bringing in a brand that also has their own storefront and such a strong brand recognition, you're not doing yourself any service. So what I tend to steer my clients to are new, unique pieces, because that is what especially women want. Men are more loyal to their brands. So that's something we talk about when we're looking at their membership demographics and knowing who they're geared towards, but helping them understand that we need to find and source brands that will allow you to buy really shallow, so you can buy wide instead of buying super narrow and deep and being stuck with inventory, because that makes, no matter how good your visual merchandising team is, it is really hard to make it seem fresh and new if you have the same inventory. So your whole goal is to have inventory turn, and that is by buying wide and shallow. And so that's what I really help with, is also helping you find the right vendors to be able to allow for that buying process to make sense for your club and keep it fresh.
So that brings me to the question that I mentioned earlier, which is, do I buy Lulu, do I buy Arlo, do I buy Athletica out of my club or sell that out of my club, or do I get a shirt and put my logo on it and then I'm a billboard? I mean, there's a place for both, I guess, but what are your thoughts there?
For my clients, I'm going to steer them away from buying Lulu and Aloe. I think you already have that market saturated. I think what your clients are going to have that impulse buy from is going to be a unique piece and not like something that they could find anywhere else. So I'm going to steer my clients away from those brands. They're great brands, nothing against those brands, but to help bring a unique experience and drive member experience higher and perceived value, I want people to find new, fresh things where they feel like they're unique in the club and with their friends.
Great answer. Meredith, I'm lucky. I get to travel with REX and all over the place and get to go to gyms all over the world and do events or go to places all over the world. I'm not sure I can tell you the last time I bought a t-shirt when I went to Universal Studios or Disney World or anything like that. But I did have to walk through their shop on the way out, like every good person does. You have no choice but to walk through that shop. But I'm not sure I've ever bought any clothes there. However, I have been known and get in trouble when I get home to always buy a t-shirt or a hat. I can't tell you how many hats I've got of a gym that I've worked out at, that I've had a really good experience at and enjoyed it. So for me, it's like this trigger of remembering that workout or that session. There has to be a correlation, surely, between the feel that our members get in our club and then the sale of retail. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. So again, when I traveled, one of the things I saw to clubs, much like yourself, I was going for myself just for pleasure. And I really was becoming, as I started to think about this becoming my new business venture, I started being a conscious consumer and thinking, what are those triggers? And what did I see work in the past? What made people want to buy a logo apparel versus other logo apparel that sits for ages? And I think there's a few things there. I think it has to be unique. I think it has to be on trend. And those are areas that I can help you with. But I also think that you as a club owner an operator need to really assess whether or not you've created the community and fandom that someone would want to wear your logo out and share that they're part of that community. So the logo program, I think, is absolutely something that every club should consider. It's just how we go about doing that. And do we need to do a few other things first before we implement the logo program?
You used a great word there, fandom. I love that. That's a great description of what we're trying to create. We create fans, then they're going to buy the retail. I don't know whether this is in your wheelhouse or not. Can we go down the road of design work with logos? Can I ask you this question?
You absolutely can ask me. I'm going to outsource that. I would say that I have strong opinions when I see artwork, but I don't have the front end side that I'm going to give you that direction. I definitely lean on graphic designers for that.
Well, I guess it's not so much the design. For me, like I'm wearing a No Bull t-shirt today. That's No Bull, No Bull. If you're watching or listening, No Bull, I'm happy to be a social media influencer for you. But in my No Bull t-shirt, it's right down the bottom. On the left-hand side, it just says No Bull. But what clubs tend to do is they put these huge logos across the chest, and I kind of look at them and go, I would wear that shirt if I'd forgotten my workout shirt. I'll wear it once, and then I'll probably polish my car with it after that. So when you talk about those unique pieces, are you also talking about unique, not just clothing pieces, but actual designs that are on the shirt? And do we need to move away from the big billboard logo to being more subtle?
Absolutely. So right now on trend, I call those shirts that you're speaking of the billboard shirt. And to me, those are the freebies that you give out, which you don't want to knock those. Those are good. They are marketing pieces. They do for your programming that you have. I always said for camps, I loved giving out a free shirt for our youth programs because parents, every time they did laundry, saw our logo and they thought about, oh yeah, I need to sign up for next summer's camps. It's coming up. Oh, we need to do that. So I think there's a place for all of that. However, I would place that in your freebie option, and they wear it when they need to. From a consumer making their business decision or their financial decision, whether they're going to give you money for something, the trend right now is absolutely subtle. So you want it to be an identifiable logo, but you don't want it to be huge and screaming to the world. And so actually, that's something one of my current clients I'm working on, a private label that they are starting up. And that's been a huge topic, is location of logo. And we work with every producer. We're working with logo location and what that looks like. We want there to be enough impression that someone is aware that it is a private label and it doesn't just look like a blank t-shirt. However, the consumer doesn't want to scream out your company and your brand. So being very mindful with the logo placement is really important, as well as the size of that logo.
Here's a time for you not to be so humble, but can you share like an inspirational story of one of your clients and their success from retail?
Absolutely. So we had a huge holiday shopping event for one of my clients. It was over the course of 3 different days. And let me just kind of set the scene for you. So this client is the one that I'm working on their private label with. So we are very focused on getting their membership to be, first their membership to be aware, so that then we can expand the private label into the marketplace beyond membership base. And so we knew that that was our main objective. However, we also knew that our clients there needed to have some hooks. And so we looked at some activations that we could have. So we had like a coffee stand. We had a juice stand one day. We looked into having a fashion designer there drawing to be able to just have these activations that get people to stop and want to participate and not feel like you're selling as soon as they walk into the club. However, as they continue on, then we had individual booths of pop-up trunk shows that we were working with vendors that supplemented the type of membership base that they had. So we knew we were targeting heavy on the female side. They were ready to start their holiday shopping, but we also did touch on the men as well. And so we use these vendors to also help create a uniqueness and experience that got them to stop. And the members there loved talking to the owners of these individual lines. It made them feel very special to be able to talk face to face with the owner of fashion lines. And the great thing about this was that within those 3 days, they did over $50,000 in sales. So I say that, and I also have an asterisk. They're a unique client. They have an affluent clientele. And so I recognize that that can't transpire for every single client. However, the concept can. And creating a true pop-up member experience and events out of your retail offerings is a really great way to drive some excitement through the club. I can't tell you the number of people that said that they had never felt more alive in the club just from the energy of people getting excited of these one-of-a-kind pieces that they were getting to shop. And then on top of that, we were able to also make sure that we were plugging the private label. And so we had that interspersed throughout to be able to station by station, be able to also stop by the private label and drive sales. And actually the private label was the highest grossing category from the event. So it worked. It was a really great event for them. And what I love about those types of events, especially for anyone starting out in retail, is there's a low inventory risk with that. So with trunk shows and pop-ups like this, and you're working with vendors who are wanting to get in front of your customer base, you don't have to purchase any inventory except the inventory that's sold during the event. And so it's a really great win-win for both you as the retailer and also for the vendor themselves.
That's powerful insight. Thank you. Now, I've been to quite a few studios at different times, and they've got the $10 bin just near the front desk. And in the $10 bin are triple XL shirts that are probably 5 years old, or bras or tanks or whatever that are all oversized. I'm not even sure what they were thinking when they ordered them in the first place, but they're in the bin. And you spend all your time digging in the bin trying to find your size. You can't find your size. So then I go and pay something for full price. Am I the typical consumer? Is that what we normally do?
There's a few topics in that question and experience. So number one, I think it brings up the topic of sales. How often should you have sales? If you're teaching your consumer that you're always going to have a sale bin, then they're going to wait and they're going to learn the pacing in which you move your inventory into that, and they're going to wait. So I work with clients on figuring out the right sale pacing for them. But to your question about sizing, you bring up a really good point, and one of the hardest things within retail to get right. And I'll give you one of my tips that I tell, especially when it's a new facility, brand new opening, is have that freebie shirt we were talking about. That's a great time to give away your billboard shirt, because then you can start to collect data of your sizing of your membership base. So I think it is something that is really hard to get a grasp on, but that's also one of the things when you're working with vendors is to find the right vendors that will help you with what we call open sizing, meaning you can size according to what you know your demographics needs and what your sales are looking and trending in. If they have something that's called pre-packed, that means you have to buy regardless of what your demographics at your club are and what your sales are showing you. You're having to buy 100 smalls, 100 mediums, 100 large, 100 double X. And so you get that back stock that you're speaking to with the triple X. But I also think it is important within your open sizing to include some of those, because that is feedback you hear quite a bit. We want to be in the fitness industry. We want to be inclusive. And part of it is meeting people when they first start. And so helping them have an option in your retail services to be able to quote unquote participate is really, really important. The same way your Group X instructors have modifications and you don't have to call out the individual that needs it. But I think having some of those sizing and being size inclusive is really important in the retail space, especially in the wellness space.
I love that idea of giving a freebie away to be able to get an idea of what sizes we need in our clubs. That's absolutely brilliant. All right, this brings me to the last question. Obviously, the first place we start when we want to make money from retail is call you or go to your website. But the first place is we get in touch with you. What's the second step that we would do to turn retail into a profit center for us?
So I'm actually going to give homework to anyone that this sparked an interest in. I'm going to give them homework before they even call me, because this is something I've learned along my journey. Is one of the first things that I like to ask is you have to first know, are you an existing facility that has existing retail programming, or are you brand new starting retail or brand new facility? Those are going to kind of channel different homework, but sort of the same. So one of the things that I base all of my services off of is understanding your goals as a business owner. I want to know, what is your long-term big picture goal. It is more than likely not going to be targeted on retail. I'm going to come in and say, okay, let me hear those goals and let me make sure that our retail offerings are helping support that goal. Because I know you as an operator or owner are going to base your success off of those goals, not my retail goals. So when I hear from someone that their goal might be this year to grow their racket sports, I'm going to start thinking through what are events that we can bring the retail space out to those courts and help really support and really elevate that racket sport experience to the consumer. And I have had this really successful with pop-up events as well for racket sports, because what happens is if you have leagues or you have a tournament, you have non-members coming onto your facility site and they're getting to have this experience as well. And I've heard it multiple times from the visiting teams saying that they wish their clubs had something like this retail experience so that when they're in between matches, they're able to have a little bit more of a social experience than just sitting on the bleachers watching. So I would say, what are your goals? And I really want you to sit down if you haven't already, and you'd be surprised how many people cannot tell me what their big picture goals are for their team, their business. Sit down with your leadership team. And I would also say go deeper than just your leadership team. Bring in a couple people from Group X training department, et cetera, to be a part of a strategic planning process so that you can set those goals and really identify what is the low-hanging fruit and what is the most impactful objectives and spaces in your services and offerings. From there, when you call me then we're going to talk through how do we set up your people, your places, and your programs. So we're going to dive into the place. What makes the most sense for setting up your retail space? How do we make it visually appealing? How do we drive the sales through that place portion? Your people. Let's talk through both your membership and your team to support the sales that you're hoping to have grow through your club. And then your programs. What are the programs that we can help support through retail offerings in that membership journey to really make that membership experience and perceived value stickier and a little bit more elevated than when they started?
Great insights. Meredith, thank you. This has been a fascinating conversation. Question without notice. Do we have any data on what percentage of members would actually buy something from a retail store inside a club?
So it definitely varies and super dependent upon the strategy that's associated. I would say on average with the clients that I've worked with thus far, we're looking anywhere from 10 to 20 as repeat customers. You're looking at 50% to 60% as one-time consumers. So obviously our goal is to get that number higher for your repeat customers, but that's actually pretty good data within the client load that I've worked with as what we're seeing for trends.
Gee whiz, if you're making $10 a t-shirt and 50% of your 2,000 members are buying a shirt over the course of a year, that's not bad, is it? Well, I think you've just unlocked some serious cash that we are leaving on the table with our members. But I do want to go back, everybody, and I just want to stress something that Meredith said is that if they don't feel the love, if they don't feel like they're having a great time in your club, it's unlikely they're going to be buying any clothing other than the shirt that they need when they forgot to bring the shirt from home for their workout. And that's a necessity purchase. Meredith, absolutely superb. Thank you so much for your time today. You have any other pearls of wisdom you would like to share that we might put on social media about you?
Well, if you want to find me, you can find me at elevatedversions.com. You can also email me, Meredith at elevatedversions.com. I'll give you a little plug for my own online boutique. If anyone wants to shop, Paper Dolls by Eve, feel free. It's women's apparel and outside the workout line. So come see me. I'm happy to help anyone in boutique spaces. I've worked with, again, multi-purpose clubs and just starting with a country club.
Meredith, that was terrific with awesome, powerful nuggets for everyone. Now, a quick reminder, as promised, Meredith has her online boutique for women at paperdollsbyeve.com. And she's giving you an exclusive 20% off all regularly priced apparel. You just need to use the code on checkout, FitnessBusinessPod20. We'll put the details in the show notes. A quick shout out to these REX Roundtable Trusted Suppliers. They are industry partners who help make this podcast possible. You'll find their links and offers on today's show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Please support them as they support us. World Insurance Associates, provides insurance, risk management, benefits and wealth management services. MXM provides software for fitness clubs to manage member experience. Centre High Rocks, fitness and wellness app offering workouts, nutrition and meditation. Matrix Fitness manufactures and sells commercial and home gym fitness equipment. Yanga Sports Water provides subscription-based flavoured, vitamin-enriched and calorie-free water for gyms. Now, if you got any value from today's episode, we want to hear from you. So please leave us a review on your favourite podcast app. Leave us a voice message at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/leave us a voicemail and share the podcast far and wide. As a regular listener, you know our sign-off. So join me. What we leave behind is not in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.